Hey, it's Pallavi Kashyap. Welcome to the podcast. And welcome all our lovely listeners. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Stacey, and she's from Canada. Before I introduce you to her, I'll just give you a brief info about her so that you also get acquainted with her. So, she is a very passionate, high energy, creative individual possessing a high zest for life. And I vouch for it because I know her personally, and she is exactly what she has mentioned here. Her goal is to help people get unstuck, to recognize the infinite potential that lies within each one of us. She is open to new adventures and has a burning desire to help people and businesses around the world to set and achieve their goals. And over the past few years, she has invested significantly in her own personal development, studying and being mentored by Bob Proctor, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and other international thought leaders like Tony Robbins. She is also a Proctor Gallagher consultant, a high performance life coach, and in the past few years, she's bridged a gap from the corporate world to entrepreneurship, owning her own consulting, coaching, and speaking practice, namely Raise Your Results. A brief about her background in the corporate career. She has over 20 years of experience in operations, change, and people management in both private and public sectors. And she has a little bit more, but I'll leave it to her to explain or, just to introduce herself with that bit. And yeah, so hello and welcome, Stacey, once again. It's really lovely having you here finally after so many of the previous episodes that we tried to connect and reach out, and finally we are here. So yes, once again a warm welcome, and it's the stage is all yours. You can go on and say whatever you feel like.
Honestly, I just want to say thanks, Pallavi, for having me and welcome anybody that's listening. I am so excited to be here to share and to collaborate and create with Pallavi. Honestly, it's been a blessing having the opportunity to meet. They say there are no coincidences, and this is one that's true. Our energy has just resonated at the same vibration and it's brought our paths to cross. So I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so much, Pallavi.
Yeah, it's actually very lovely to find people, and we connected from different parts of the globe. She's from Canada, I'm from India, and the connection was really. But yeah, when we are connected, I think distance does not matter, and we are all energy beings. And I think, I live by energy, all the rules of energy. So I believe if people are connected, then distance is just a word. It doesn't matter because we are any which ways connected. So, Stacey, I gave a brief intro about you, and you also introduced yourself. But is there anything that I missed out, or I actually wanted to ask if there's something that people would like to know, and you have never mentioned anything about that in any of your social media profiles? I know you're a very lively person and you're a very open person, but is there anything that our audience would like to know, which you have never mentioned anywhere else? And it's up to you if you want to answer that.
Oh, that's so awesome. You know what? So I've always been a passionate individual. In fact, sometimes I used to say that my passion is my greatest strength and my biggest area of opportunity. As I was always, especially in corporate world, trying to fit in a certain mold.
Right.
And what I've known though is that I've always had this energy. I've always loved to help people. I started teaching aerobics, honestly, when I was like 15. And
Wow.
So here's one thing that people don't know is like, so I may date myself by saying this, but it would be in the 90s when I started to teach aerobics. And so, the Jane Fonda look and wearing your stuff on the outside. I did that. Also did like music, and maybe nobody knows this, but I play the organ. So music was just an expression for myself, and dancing around and motivating people to be their best in fitness was really where I started coaching people. And then as I went through university and got my degree in business, it went into people, leadership, and change. So I guess what people don't know about me maybe is I love music. I love to dance around. And if I really want to be like embarrassing myself right now, the first place I ever wore a thong was on the outside of my aerobic clothes.
As I've been studying leaders, since I'm also in a leadership role, and I've been studying leaders over the last few years, and I've been trying to collect traits and, what makes a leader different, and not just with their leadership qualities, but certain practices that make a leader a leader. I've found that being active, being healthy is is a part of their regimen. It's a like non-negotiable. And by active, I don't mean just building up their body and muscles, but they're so well trained and well tuned to be in sync with their body, mind, and spirit. So in that, your body comes, it plays a major role. And that's what I see in you, that you've always taken so much care of your health, and being doing aerobics and doing some kind of an activity. It's always keeping your physical body active, and when your physical body is active, that energy, it like goes to everyone. So when you're trying to actually give, it just naturally comes, right?
It's
So
true.
so I
I
wanted
find
to.
fitness, oh, sorry, I was just gonna say,
Yeah, yeah, go on,
find
go on.
fitness for a lot of people. I mean, movement just helps you feel better, right? So, and then
Absolutely.
especially with the music and you put it on, and when you can be around like-minded individuals, actually, when I look back at it, it's all similar to what we study, right? Be around people that lift you up, get
Yeah,
your body moving, like
yeah.
be present in that moment. And it's exactly that. For me, like fitness it was my release. So
Mm.
when I was really fortunate, I always like unknowingly, right? Because I was almost like an unconscious competent. So I didn't realize at the time what other benefits of it was. But when I reflect back, I mean, it was my own psychiatrist, or I never had to worry about that. I would just go for a run and then go and, tell people to lift their knees up higher and
Yeah, I know.
do some things to the side.
Yeah, something I remember actually when I had attended one program of Tony Robbins. He mentioned that, whenever you have an emotion which is like a lower emotion, a negative emotion, it makes your body heavy. Like if you're sad, if you have some grief, you'll not feel like moving around. The energy is heavy and you'll be sitting. Versus when you change the energy and you're happy, you're always, there's this fun in your life, the energy is light. So, and he also mentioned, emotion, the word emotion, emotion. So if you have an emotion which is pulling you down, just remove that E and, push your body into motion, and then you're back to your zone. Yeah.
I know.
So
I agree with.
that was one question I wanted to ask you. You've already answered. My question was one practice you do every day for a positive mindset. So along with exercises, probably what do you do for your keeping your the head, the mind
Yeah.
strong?
Well,
So
so that was it. So I would say, so I guess where my like development and who I am and stuff was, oh my light came off too, was it's all right. It
yeah.
was the sign. Was initially when I had this energy, it was hard to just control. So it was just releasing it, right? And I remember it was always around aerobics, and I did get into Pilates. But then when I would go to a yoga class, someone says, just focus on your breath. And when your mind starts to wander, bring it back. And I was thinking, well, holy smokes, like bring it back to what? Like I have no steady state. But that is something that I've really incorporated into my practices today is yes, movement's a non-negotiable. But the other non-negotiable for me every morning is meditation. And
Wow.
where I really feel so passionately around that, especially after studying and going to conferences with Dr. Joe, is that if we truly believe on a subconscious level that
Mhm.
our thoughts become things, which I believe, and I know whether you're from theology or
Yeah.
science, it's
Yeah.
proven, and that we're all energy. So
Mhm.
why would I ever miss a day, an opportunity to intentionally create that which I love and that
Absolutely.
life that I want and that person I want to be? So for me, a non-negotiable every morning and truthfully every night is a meditation practice.
Brilliant. Even I do the same, but I do skip in a while. Like in once in 2 days I skip it. But
Well,
that's my goal to at least do 5 days a week. So I know,
and you
and
know
the
what? I think that when you sip, I mean, you're going for hours. I think, and it's any mindfulness, right? That you just recognize to stop, to collect yourself and to breathe. And, I love the days when I have an hour to do it. But if I can only find 10 or 15 minutes to do it, then even just making that time for that. And I'll share one more thing with the audience if you haven't done it. So as Pallavi mentioned, I'm from Canada and it's freaking cold, especially right now in the winter.
oh.
And so my hot showers are hugely important to me. But in the last, this has only been a 2-week thing, but I've started to do, we were talking about this, a 2-minute shower a day
Yeah.
of cold water. And
Wow.
that to me too has been a game changer. I mean, it hasn't been long, and let's talk another 6 months and see if I'm still doing it. But that non-negotiable of being able to self-talk and show yourself, to give yourself a command and actually execute on it, to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, has been so amazing over the last 2 weeks that I just don't want to stop it, because I think it gives me that inner strength and belief in myself that when I set another big goal, and we'll talk about that, I feel like the purpose of goals is to grow. And so ultimately you want to have a goal that scares and excites you all at the same time. And so if I can jump in that freaking cold shower and stand there for 2 minutes, you know, and gather myself and focus and self-talk it, then I mean, it just kind of like, it's like mirror work, right? You just start to believe, you're stronger than anything. I'm just like, I'm made for hard things. I'm able to do whatever I set my mind to. And it just really puts me in that positive state to set off the day. So if you're not doing that right now for people, I'm not saying you have to have a cold shower, but make sure that you are affirming positive beliefs to yourself in the morning, because it just gives you that power and energy. It's invigorating.
Right. So this cold shower is different from the ice bath, or is that the same?
Like, I think the benefits are really around the same, but I don't have a ice bath every morning. I just like turn it off and,
I think it's more or less, and since you are there where it's almost snowing, it'll have the same effect, I guess.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I could get really crazy and just walk outside in my bathing suit right now and just sit in the snow, but I feel like my neighbors might look where nobody knows this one except for me. But the truth is, I see people all the time, you know, going outside. If we're at a hotel or something, they'll go lay in the snow, do a couple snow angels, and then jump into the hot water or something like that. This is just my own, like I said, I wanted to try it as dare, but I've really just found some benefits aside from the
it does have benefits
for my body and that it's good for my skin and those types of things. It's been just really good to show like, hey, body, you sit, just like in meditation, the mind needs to control the body. And so this is kind of back to it. Like, you're going to do what I do, and we're going to get uncomfortable, but it's good. Like, and then tell yourself. So anyways, those are some of the things I love to do.
Right.
And of course, get a hug from my kids, because then I go wake them up.
Yeah, it's a very nice thing. We'll have probably another episode where we discuss the benefits of, ice bath and cold showers, because there is a science behind that. I haven't gone deeper into it because I'm not doing it, but I know there's a science behind it, and we'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah, in detail. And the Wim Hof breathing, right? And that too. I mean, I know with Dr. Joe, some of his meditations, we've started to do some different breath work. And that breath work taking us to different ones. There was this one meditation we do, and we literally like do 2 quick inhales, like all through your mouth for like a long time. And he's like, don't worry about it. You're still breathing. But what it does to your body and the different physiology changes is something crazy. So yeah, let's talk about it and investigate it one time.
Yeah, sure. So I also had a corporate background, and you also have a similar background. And to listeners who also, I have a lot of friends who have a corporate background. So I just wanted to give them a brief idea, or, how the transition happens, or what leads to the transition, or what leads to the move or the push, what triggered you to move from that zone to this zone of owning everything on your own, looking for a freedom lifestyle and all of that. So how has your journey been, and what triggered you to move from, your corporate life, which is, I know, a comfortable life, and moving from that zone to a zone or territory which is absolutely unknown, calls for a lot of courage.
Well, sure. I said, I've worked in a number of industries in corporate world, always with people though, and always with change. And I was telling Pallavi, I've actually worked in India when I worked for GE, General Electrics, and I was in Hyderabad for 3 months, and I loved people. And I think that's where I just like, in corporate world, I love people. Where it really transitioned for me to decide to move out of corporate world and to come into entrepreneurship is just really, for a long time, I've been thinking, I really want to go into consulting. When I worked for GE, that was one of my most favorite, enjoyable jobs. And the training there was just so extensive. And we really focused on 3 pillars, right? As far as your work is concerned, with the customer, with your employees, and with the company, and always driving efficiency and effectiveness. And when unfortunately GE closed for where I live, and so I went to different organizations, and I just never found that same type of bond. And yet I would see inefficiencies in one of those three areas and always be drawn. I've been always like a leader in their employee engagement. I'm typically in a customer care type of leadership role. And then ultimately, like I said, if you're taking care of your customers and your employees, your efficiencies are going to come along. So long story of it to say, though, is that I wanted to be a consultant and help other companies to really improve their employee engagement that would ultimately benefit their customers and have tangible results on their bottom line. And yet I kept saying, oh, I'm going to need capital for that. Oh, I need a team for that. Oh, and again, like anybody probably wanting to do something different, as soon as that idea got into my mind, all the reasons why I couldn't came into play. Then what happened in a couple of years? So I didn't, right? I stayed in my job and I would move up into like middle and senior management, but I was still feeling like there was something missing. And yet I'd done what I thought I needed to do. You know, I went to university. I'd always wanted to be a mom. I got married. I had kids, realized maybe the marriage wasn't for me, you know, left that marriage and still continued to work hard. So all of these different things, which was leading me to discover more of myself and to recognize that this energy that lies within me, if I don't start to let it express, it's going to, like, I'm not doing anybody a service, and especially myself. And I can't be the best boss, the best leader, the best mom, the best whoever without filling my cup. So when my paths crossed with Tony Robbins and different thought leaders, and I started to read, I read all the time, like Thomas Trower, Neville Goddard, the greats, and that brought me to Bob Proctor. Bob said, don't let anyone steal your dreams. And it was in that moment that I realized I have a dream. Like, yes, I know I'm in my 40s. Yes, I know I'm established, but I want more. And I was made for more. And at that moment, I started to think of all the reasons why I can and not why I can't. And decided to follow my, my intuition. I guess start to pay attention to that, letting go of this thought that because I had made it this far, because I have 20 years in corporate, that had to be the continued journey. So really what helped me transition was studying and realizing that when I believe in myself and when I have a better understanding of the universal laws and how to manifest, that anything you want, you can have, but it starts with a belief. So I really worked on my inner self and believing that, and then just started to like, this is what I want to do. I want to become a consultant. I want to be a speaker, and I want to help other people to live out their dreams, to feel fulfilled. Because I know what it feels like to, not feel like you're always authentically you and that you're conforming to people around you. And I think that people like us, Pallavi, that maybe have a comfortable lifestyle, it's like we fall trapped because life is good. So we're afraid if we like go forward that we might fall and it might become shitty. So we get like worried. And yet then most people, the paradigms that I'd grown up with were, why do you want more? People that want more are selfish. There are all of these things. And so, be happy with what you have. You have more than the average person. And it's, maybe that was true, but why should have that stop me from wanting more? And wanting more is not selfish. Like I had to come to realize that the more I can be, the more I can give. So it really was just kind of a combination of all of that brought me to an edge where I say, I'm not ready for this, but I'm going to frickin' jump. And I have 2 girls and I want them to live out their dreams, and they'll only understand what that is unless they see me doing the same thing. So I decided to take a leap.
Yeah, actually, and something resonated with me as well. When we are running our businesses, we need to do everything from sales to marketing to operations to people management. We are doing everything all together. And life had been really, when I look at my corporate life was comfortable. Where your paycheck is there every end of the month, even if you take sick leaves and all of those kind of needs.
Benefits, your pension.
Yeah, everything is there, but at the same time, there is no freedom. There are pros and cons if you have to actually measure. There'll be more pros when you do things on your own, but yeah, the courage is what is needed, and that separates you from the rest. And with courage, I think you need to, that mindset is also needed because, if you get carried away by what people say, if you do not have your own judgmental power, if you don't have that degree of discernment, then you'll never be able to, you'll be there where you are.
Here's what I would say to people: if you're not, like, know what your purpose is. And if you can do your purpose in your job, wherever you're at, then like life is fulfilled. Like for me, yes, freedom is no doubt about a piece of it, but fulfillment is more.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm fulfilled, then I am almost like limited and free. And I just wasn't feeling fulfilled anymore. It's the same as the reason why I left my marriage, right? Like it wasn't fulfilling me. I was like, when you build those houses with cards and you put two together and then on top and, and they're just perfect, right? But if a wind comes down and you blow it, just like freaking comes down. And I felt sometimes like I was living this life that was a deck of cards that were built. And I was the foundation. And, as a single parent and someone that like has this zest and love for life, it's like the light in me was slowly going out because I wasn't living my purpose. And I just felt like if it does going down, those card deck is coming all the way down. And I'm just going to be like, I won't even know who I am anymore. And I don't want that to happen. And I think that that's where a lot of us just get stuck in this familiar past that becomes our predictable future. We live every single day based off of what we did yesterday. And so I would say to people, if you're like feeling stuck, ask yourself, what is it that you want? And if it's freedom or whatever it is for you, then what is it that you love to do? And how can you turn that desire into something that gives you ultimately what you want? And then don't stop, because and don't even share it with people, because they're like probably your best friends and they say it like in a nice way because they want to keep you safe. Our subconscious mind says these things to keep us safe, but it also almost puts these like invisible prison walls up around us that we don't. So, entrepreneurship for me has been a challenge in some ways, but it's like a growth opportunity. And what's made it like not like work is because it's my desire, like it's my passion. So, but I do agree with you. Like there's some times where I like have an idea and I look around like with the team to like, so anybody want to brainstorm what we should do? And I just have to stand up, sit in a different chair and be like, oh yeah, Stacey, I changed my mind. And then, so who's going to execute it? And I'm like, holy shit, I guess that's me, because there's nobody else.
Yeah.
But you do that and you move forward. But I would say that, you also brought up courage. And to me, so many of us are like proud to say I'm courageous or I'm strong, but there is no courage. There is no strength without being vulnerable. So when you want to make a change, you got to recognize that to be courageous, to be strong means that you got to get outside of your comfort zone. So get onto the field and play life, whatever that looks like. And even if you stay at your corporate job, because that's what gives you the bills and that makes you happy in certain ways, like stretch yourself in other ways to like stop just watching the world go by, because either way is going to be hard. But what would you rather do? Have a hard like choice where you're just watching it, or get out, play hard, do what you love. And maybe, that means we're going to fall, right? That means we're going to fail. That means we're going to have tears, stuff, but that's freaking life. And when we can recognize that we are stronger to overcome that, and that was just an opportunity to learn, then I just honestly, I just get fired up about that, because that's what it's about. And I think a lot of us, we've forgotten about that. It's like, well, I'd rather be comfortable. Really? I don't want to die regretting.
Yeah, like what you said, there are so many things that, even I have learned when I had, when I started this journey, like things don't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes. Mistakes are okay, which was not a part of my world. In corporate world, a presentation means it has to be the best. You can't make mistakes. Your presentation has to be on point. So, coming out and, letting go of that kind of a life was really, in a way, it was for me, I somehow resonate so much to the word freedom, in terms of so many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that
you
was.
were trapped, right? Like, and then you were like, I don't want to live this life that's not me being expressive of me. And so when you can get out and be that, it is freedom of whatever kind, right? Like financial freedom, whatever the case may be. But I would say for some people, if you go in thinking of like what the tangible outcome is versus the journey, then that's where we get a little bit lost. But when we start to study ourselves and do the work that you've done, or do the work that I do, or work with either of us, like we really start to show you that when you raise your awareness and your understanding of yourself, you can and understand the universe and the energies that exist, you will realize that you can be, do, and have anything, but you have to believe it. And you won't want something that you can't do. So don't worry about that and let go of the knowing of the how. But yeah, I think, like we said, probably the way you were raised and the fact that you were told to do these, the same as me, go to school, get a good job, those just like, we did it. And then we get there and it's like, oh, I did the check marks. How come I'm not happy? It's like, oh, because it wasn't what I freaking wanted. Oh, well then let me be free. Right? So,
And in this journey, people forget to take care of their health. And, that was one of the reasons how I got into energy healing, because my health was declining, nothing major, but my health was not in order. And that's when I had to really pause doing what I was doing, because I was so much in the game and, trying to prove something to, I don't know whom, to myself or to the world. And that's when I kind of, my health was declining. And that's when I had to again, look for causes, or look for solutions to, to get back to my normal self. And yeah, health is also a concern which most of us ignore.
what's so important, I think, like you said, when we're not happy, it drives the body to be at a
Yeah.
dis/ease piece, right? And so we bring on this, and then we almost excuse the fact that we're not feeling well by, I don't know, circumstances like, oh, I'm stressed because work is busy, or I'm not feeling well because I'm old and I'm supposed to feel this way, right? Well, we're not.
Yeah.
That's like conditioning. And so I would say to people is that, if we can bring on this like deterioration of our health, a body not at ease, and I'll say that as dis/ease, when we really look up to it, how it starts is it's because we have this like come from a place of ignorance that drives kind of like fear, doubt, worry, all feelings that are suppressed, going within to make you anxious, body breaking down into depression, and leading to like a body of like dis/ease that ultimately disintegration, which is one of the laws, like as far as vibration, we're either creating or disintegrating. And yet if we brought that on, then let's flip to the opposite side, to the positive side of that, which is the opposite of ignorance being understanding and awareness, which is comes through, your studies. And when you come through that knowledge, then you divide and you understand that, then that drives the faith and a well-being. And nobody feels good and been like holds that in. These are all feelings that are expressed that like give us acceleration to ultimately create more and be a body at ease. And I just think like that's so important, because you're right. Like if we're not paying attention to how our body is like basically like, hello, I'm breaking down for a reason. Pay attention to me. And we realize that like, stop making excuses for it. It's not because you're too old. It's because you're not living in a state of well-being and faith, And so I think that that's where probably we both really have benefited, because we decided to no longer accept the worry and the doubt and the fear. It's different probably, but even now we know, like we reject those thoughts because they don't help us. We need to sit in faith and understanding and study and continue to move that way. So yeah, I understand. And I think that's your body. Listen to your body. It's telling you to make a change then. And I think that's the same with people that are stuck. It's not, it's okay. You don't have to feel bad. It's just now you just raised your awareness, and like when you feel stuck, that's your body saying it's time for a change. You're not growing.
Right.
I mean, we're spiritual beings. Our spirit is made for further growth and expansion. So if you're feeling stuck, it just means that you're not growing. So let's pick a goal and get growing.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, Stacey, my next question is, what is the biggest challenge you faced, in your life? And why I'm asking is that so that, you can inspire people to, to how you can inspire them to move out of that zone or that challenge. So how did you deal with that challenge that you had?
You know, it's hard to wrap my words around this one, because I think that for me, it was like going against what I know. And whether even that was in my marriage, you know, like I said, I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. And
Mhm.
I didn't get married until my 30s and then have my kids later in life. But I knew when I was had both of my girls that I wasn't happy, and
Mhm.
that this wasn't the relationship for me to continue to live. And yet I came from a family that there's been no divorce, you know, we're Catholic in that sense and all these things. And yet, so I just, that was probably the biggest thing that I've ever had to overcome, was like acknowledging and setting boundaries to put
Mhm.
myself first, because I felt at the time that by me leaving the marriage or wanting more, that I was being selfish. And
Right.
yet we weren't doing either of us favors, you know. And I see so many people in relationships that aren't happy, and they make all these excuses. Well, I won't have enough money if we leave. Oh, my kids will, you know, be devastated if I don't. Like, your kids know. It's, I mean, we both know it's a feeling, the weird energy. So when you think it, they feel comfortable going into a room where they don't feel the love between two
Yeah.
people, where, you know, they're not joyful and playful and stuff with each other. So for me, I think that the biggest challenge was not knowing initially how to say that, and to move us from being married to separating. And unfortunately, I'm going to be totally transparent. I didn't do it in the best of ways. I cheated on my husband, and he found out. And then we exploded in an argument that led us to breaking up. And yet, I mean, truthfully, we're friends now and stuff, and he knew at the time. But it, I just, that's one of my biggest regrets, is that I was more worried about being a people pleaser and doing other things for people, versus standing in my own truth and being like, I'm not happy. I
Mhm.
don't want this anymore. And I
Mhm.
didn't. I used an outside excuse to kind of like make that happen. So that's definitely the biggest challenge and the biggest growth. And I think that if anyone's watching and in a relationship that's not healthy, um, is to really recognize that you're more stronger than you think,
Mhm.
and you've overcome your hardest days. And leaving a relationship to find yourself is the most important thing that you can do. Otherwise, we weren't made to be unhappy. So go there and trust that that's the right thing to do. And I mean, talk and work it out, but ultimately follow your heart. Like, listen to that intuition. We get so conditioned to live from our external senses, from what we can hear, taste, smell, see, and feel. But we were given mental faculties, right? We were given God's gifts as far as perception, intuition, memory, reason, will, and imagination. So when you feel something, that's like your soul's whispering, saying, you know, you should be here. Go and acknowledge that and take action. So that was definitely one of the hardest parts, but I think one of the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I realized in that moment it's no longer about living my life for somebody else. It's about living for me. And then this way I was a better mom. Like, I come home, get frustrated. So I was taking them out on them. I go to work, get frustrated, take it out at work, you know, and my ex and I. So we have a beautiful relationship, and we respect and care about each other, but recognize that it wasn't for the best. And so, yeah, anyways,
Yes, I
that
think
was
so.
the
What
hardest one.
matters, yeah, yeah. I think what matters is our state of mind, but state of mind we are every day in, and your state of mind so much contributes to your overall health. So I think it's wise for us to whatever situation we are in to be in the best of our mental health. So yeah, so
Yeah,
I think.
and to be worthy, right? Like, I think now that was like, it was a very embarrassing thing for me. Like,
Mm,
I became somebody that I never thought I would be, to do that, right? And
right.
so then I had to deal with like this shame
Mhm.
of what I did, this guilt. And yet I knew that I really wasn't wrong for doing that, because I was so lonely. And and I just wanted, an out. I Where I was wrong was not to have that courage to do it. But I mean, we all, like, that's again where you really have to appreciate your worthiness. And I think that my paradigms were around trust, obviously, and around worthiness. So that's where I share that with people to recognize that if you're not leaving a relationship, question then, like, do you value yourself? Because if you do, you wouldn't want to spend any more time not being happy.
Got it.
Got it. I know. Got it. Second thought. Why did I ask that question?
Yeah, it's a little heavy. Yeah, we'll move to the next question. So, with your experience, what do you, yeah, so the next question is, so what do you think is the gap in the mindset with what's happening around today in today's world? So I feel there's, hatred is so much being embraced by people, fear is being embraced by people, whereas positivity, like, loving and, these kind of higher vibrations are available in scarcity. There's nothing like that, but negativity is so much around, and it's like everybody thinks it's part of life and it's forgiven. And so what is your view on that, or why do you feel there's so much of negativity around, and why is it like it is only talked about?
Oh, I love this question. This is a really good question. Napoleon Hill once said, if people said what they were thinking, they'd have nothing to say at all. Why do I start with that quote? Is because people aren't thinking. People are being influenced by social media, by the news, and by other things to live from the outside in versus the inside out. It's like when we're in these states or in, whatever, like some type of economy downswing, people are like, I can't make it. I'm broke because of this or whatever the case might be. Blame, 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 victim, victim, victim. And not like realizing that we are the creators of our lives. You can create whatever environment you want. You don't have to accept that, but we've been conditioned. So I think that that's really where we're at, is a scary place where people are wandering. People aren't thinking for themselves. And everyone's like, I think, well, mental activity doesn't constitute thinking. And so we start to try to solve stuff by looking at our results. And we know that when we try to change things with the same lens that we use to get those results, we're going to get the same results, right? So we keep looking at the end results, thinking that causes feelings that causes actions get the results, same results. So what I think we need to do is help people to wake up, to recognize, take responsibility for your life. It starts, your results are an output of your thoughts. Those thoughts that you fell in love with or that were conditioned into your subconscious mind that set up your body in a certain vibration to act in a way that with the action of the body, the reaction of the universe sets up our conditions, our circumstances, and our environment, our results. So if we want different results, we have to start thinking differently. We have to question what we're seeing on TV. We have to question what we're doing on social media. If people are talking crap, then we need to reject that and move away and start to say, well, what is it that I want? And start thinking from that perspective, setting your body, and then attach, obviously, like, so new intention backed by an elevated emotion sets our body up in a new vibration that's going to put us in motion to give us new action that get us new results. So I just believe that we're kind of where we're at in lots of ways because people have stopped thinking for themselves and they've stopped living from the inside out and realized that we're the creator of our environment, and instead have fallen trapped to living from their external senses.
Yeah, that makes quite a lot of sense.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I have one more question.
Okay, but before you go on there, I think you just touched on something that we never really touched on, but so many people come to this state of lack, right? From competition, that there's not enough. Absolutely. So I think the other thing is that we have to start to spread that we live in an abundant world. There's enough for you, me, everybody to be successful. Another quote I love is like, amateurs compete, professionals create. So like, just start to express gratitude, start to recognize all the good. Like, those are little steps that people can do. Like when you're getting that heavy feeling after watching the news, or you come home from something that didn't go right, you can't feel good and bad at the same time. So raise your awareness to recognize that you're not feeling good and flip to the positive. Think of something that you're grateful for, whether that's appeared in our 3D world yet or not.
Mm.
just like live in that state, because our reticular activated system with our brain, as soon as we start to recognize good, more good happens. And I think that what's happening right now is because we're focusing on good, then more bad happens, because that's the vibrational state that they're in. So really recognizing that we live in this world of abundance, and it's a choice to choose. So if you I don't think we have to be told, Alex, can you turn that back on? I don't think we have to be told to make a choice. Just recognize you have a choice every day. You can choose to listen to that, or you can choose to be happy. That's an internal job. So be happy with even having a breath in the morning. There's a story that a guy was successful, and he shared, someone said, like, when did you become successful? He said, I became successful the moment I decided that I wanted more for myself, because it's a journey. It's not like a state we get to, right? So I just wanted to add that, because I think it's just really important that we both spread that. I mean, we live in an abundant world, and when we're not happy, chances are, when you start to think about it, you're thinking about something you don't have.
Absolutely.
So stop it. Start thinking about what you do have. And it's amazing the difference.
So with choosing, I just have another question. So I know you have always made very strong choices, but if given a choice between choosing what is easy and doing what is right, what would you choose? Or if you get another chance, let's say, another life, what would you choose? Would you choose what is easy, or would you choose what is right for you?
Well, let's go back to I won't go back into the story, but I chose what was easy versus what was right, and which was hard.
Right.
And that's one of the major things that I've realized, is that, we were made for hard things. So if you have a burning desire, and inside that you don't want to be doing something, then regardless how hard it is, you got to make that choice. And when you make a decision, all the resources, the people, the things that you need to do will come. But stop waiting, because the universe reacts to people that makes a decision. And the successful people, I mean, that's one of the qualities that they have. They make decisions quickly, and they rarely go back on them, because they just choose. And unfortunately, we're not taught those things. So even with your kids, make them choose for themselves, and make them ask, because we are almost told that those things are wrong, to say what you want and to do. But then you get into these situations that you just conform. And I fell trapped to that. So I would no longer choose the easy route, but I have in the past, and that's been some of my biggest lessons. But that's where we learn, right? So learn and grow and keep moving forward.
Yeah. So that's a nice one. My next question is, so we are what we are today based on our experiences. So every experience that we have had in our life has made us who we are today. But if given a choice, and if you would like to drop off one chapter from your life, if that was possible, what would that be?
Well, again, I think it's the biggest challenge is that, well, maybe not, because maybe I wouldn't have got to where I am without that.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I don't regret. I mean, there's things I would change, and there's things that I've learned from, but there's no chapter. I mean, they've brought me to who I am today.
Yeah.
And, the reality is that when you're genuine and you can be your authentic self, I mean, you just learn. We're not made to be perfect.
Right.
So just, start living your true authenticity. Bring more of your true essence to yourself and embrace it. Embrace being vulnerable, choose to be a victor versus a victim, study more, choose those types of things. So I don't necessarily think that I would really drop a chapter, but if I could live my life again and make better choices in certain areas, I would, because at the time when I made that decision, I was actually trying to avoid hurting people and sharing my true feelings. And that's what I did anyways, was hurt people, right, to a different level. So, yeah, I would just say choose your heart and follow your heart.
Yeah, and which is why I started my question saying, we are what we are today based on the past chapters. So we can't remove any chapter from our life. So it is a very necessary part of who we are today. So I
Yeah,
know
I
you
love.
are a very strong woman because the stories that you have shared, the challenges you have shared, I know you're a strong woman and moving fiercely forward and there's no looking back. And so if there is one message or how, or if let me put it this way, how do you want people to remember you as, or what's that one thing that Stacey should be known for always?
Honestly, my goal in life is to, when I leave a lasting impression, to help people feel better about themselves than they did before they met me. If
Hmm.
I could leave any message with people, it would be, don't let your past or your current circumstances determine your future. Like, their only limits that we have on our lives is the one that we place ourselves.
Hmm.
And if they can't believe that in that moment, then I would ask them to borrow some of my belief in them,
Hmm.
because it's there. It just have to like kind of work on their self-image. I also believe we never outperform our self-image. So if you're having a hard time believing in that, then again, start to like know you're brilliant. If you were never told that in your life, start telling yourself that. You don't need anybody else to confirm it. You have, we're connected to the source, and there's no one that loves you more than source. So believe in that, and love yourself, and then get around people like Pallavi, myself, and we'll help you to like build that belief and share it. But ultimately, I just want to be known for someone that was genuine, and I truly just love people and want to help them. I know it sounds cliche, but
Yeah.
I really, they're my energy. So
Yes.
share it.
All right, Stacey, it was nice talking to you. So, to the listeners, where are you mostly active on social media, or how do they find you?
I'm
What
everywhere.
I Sorry.
I'm everywhere. No, just kidding. But honestly, you can find me on Instagram at Stacey Vanthuyne. I know that's a mouthful. Just change it to Stacey V. But also at Raise Your Results on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I have a coaching community there. It's free to join. We have a book club. So there you can find me on LinkedIn, but ultimately most active on Instagram. Check it out, Raise Your Results, and or Facebook.
All right.
But
So
you'll
any
share my link, right?
Yeah, she has a long list. So what I'll do is I'll just put it in the description below so that people can figure out where they'll want to connect with you. And to conclude, I want to say thank you so much, Stacey, for being here, for dropping in your gems, for sharing your life experiences, which are like I'm sure they're going to inspire people, especially to those who really want those kind of gems, really want those kind of advice. So I see you as a very strong woman, a very strong leader, and with the coaching that you are setting up, you're doing for people, I'm sure it's going to make revolutionary changes, really good changes in their life. And that's what you're here for, to impact lives, to leave a legacy. And that's what you're doing. And with the experience you have in terms of from the corporate world, 20 years is not a joke. So you bring in so much of experience with people management, how to handle people's emotions, everything all together. And with added you're still you're so learned and you still know so much, but still your obsession or your passion to still learn so much more in the personal development space, that talks a lot about you. So people, whoever is going to be associated with you, they are in for a treat. So anybody who is watching this or who is listening to this, please do connect to Stacey, and I can vouch for it that she will for sure, take you to the finish line, whatever your goals are. So do follow Stacey, and I'll also once again, just reminding that I'll be dropping the links below. So thank you once again, Stacey.
Oh my God, you're
Namaste from
brilliant,
India.
Pallavi. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm an individual coaching too. But yeah, if you own a company out there and you want someone to be a speaker at an event or look at a different way of training your people, I'd love to support you. And I'm just, Pallavi, you are a brilliant soul. And I am just so blessed that our paths have crossed. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share. I hope your audience found some value in it. And I'm sure I've challenged some of the beliefs, but that's okay. Because
Yeah.
here's the last one. If it feels normal, then you're not growing. So if I've said some things that like made you like, that seems illogical, then I feel like I've done my job, because in order to
Wow.
get different results, we now need to do the illogical.
Yeah, those are gems.
I love
So,
you.
yeah.
Thank
So let's see if we can have another episode with you soon again. If we can discuss about the Wim Hof and the cold shower, the ice bath method. We'll do a show once again together. Let's see when we can fix another date for that.